Commander Jake Morrison had been in space for 12 years. He had seen many strange things. He had met aliens that looked like rocks. He had talked to creatures made of light. He had even shared food with beings that lived inside clouds of gas. But nothing in his life had prepared him for this day. The ship he served on was called the Starship Endeavor. It was one of the biggest ships humans had ever built. Jake was proud to serve on it. He was even more proud to be chosen for this mission. Today was special. Today, humans would meet the Celestin Empire for the first time. The Celestins had not talked to any other species for 200 years. They had stayed on their home planet and refused all contact. No one knew why. No one knew what they wanted. But now, for some reason, they had agreed to meet. Jake stood in the large meeting hall of Station Meridian. This was a human space station at the edge of known space. It was where important meetings happened. Today, it was full of aliens from 40 different worlds. They had all come to see the CELESTINES. Lieutenant Amy Harris stood next to Jake. She had red hair and green eyes. She was smart and careful. She was also Jake's best friend. "Remember the rules," Amy said quietly. She was looking at a small computer screen in her hand. "Don't look directly at their royalty. Don't speak unless they speak to you first. And whatever you do, don't touch them." Jake nodded. "I read the reports. I know what to do." "The touching part is very serious," Amy continued. "Their skin is very sensitive. If you touch them, it means you want to marry them. Or it means you want to fight them. Either way, it's bad." Jake almost laughed. "I'll keep my hands to myself." The human ambassador, Patricia Lane, walked over to them. She was an older woman with gray in her hair and sharp blue eyes. She had been doing this job for 30 years. She looked nervous, which made Jake nervous too. "This is the most important meeting in human history," Patricia said. "The Celestins have technology we can only dream about. Their medicine could save billions of lives. Their energy systems could power our colonies for thousands of years. We cannot make any mistakes." "We understand," Jake said. "Do you?" Patricia looked at him hard. "One wrong move, and they might not talk to us for another 200 years. Or worse." Before Jake could answer, the doors at the far end of the hall began to open. Everyone went silent. Even the aliens who never stopped talking went quiet. Light came through the doors. It was not normal light. It seemed to glow from somewhere inside the doors themselves. Then the Celestins walked in. Jake had seen pictures. He had read descriptions. But nothing could have prepared him for the real thing. They were tall and thin. Their skin changed colors as they moved, like the inside of a seashell. Their faces looked almost human, but more perfect, more beautiful. They moved like dancers, every step smooth and graceful. There were about 20 of them. They walked in a formation, with guards on the outside and important-looking people in the middle. But it was the figure at the very center who caught everyone's attention. She was their princess. Jake knew this because of the crown on her head. It was made of light itself, glowing softly above her silver hair. Her hair fell down her back like water, shining with every movement. Her eyes were purple, so deep and dark that they looked like they held entire galaxies inside them. Her dress seemed to be made of starlight, sparkling and shifting as she walked. Jake forgot everything he had learned. He forgot about the rules. He forgot about not looking. He forgot about everything except the woman walking toward him. The words came out before he could stop them. "She's the most dazzling princess I've seen," he spoke softly. He barely whispered. He meant for no one to hear, but she heard. Her eyes found his across the crowded room. She stopped walking. Her guards stopped too. Everyone stopped. Jake felt his heart beating fast. He knew he should look away. The rules said he had to look away, but he could not move. Her eyes held him in place like invisible hands. Amy grabbed his arm. Her fingers dug into his skin. "Jake, look away," Now, he could not. The princess tilted her head slightly. She was studying him like he was something interesting, something unexpected. The other Celestins were looking at her with shock on their faces. Clearly, this was not normal behavior for her. Then she did something that made every Celestin in the room gasp. She smiled, thought it was a small smile, just a tiny curve of her lips, but it changed everything. The Celestin guards looked at each other in confusion. The human diplomats looked at each other in fear. Ambassador Patricia Lane looked like she might fall down. "What just happened?" Amy whispered. "What did you do?" Jake did not know. He had no idea what had just happened. All he knew was that the most beautiful woman he had ever seen was smiling at him. And for some reason, it felt like the most important moment of his life. The princess started walking again. But now she was not walking toward the center of the room where the meetings were supposed to happen. She was walking toward Jake. Her guards tried to stop her. One of them said something in their language, but she waved her hand, and they fell back. They did not look happy about it. She stopped 3 feet away from Jake. Up close, she was even more beautiful. Her skin gave off a soft glow. Her eyes seemed to look right through him, into his thoughts, into his soul. "You spoke about me," she said. Her voice was like music, like bells and wind and singing all at once. "What did you say?" Jake swallowed hard. Everyone was watching. Every alien in the room had their eyes on him. He could feel Patricia Lane's anger burning into his back. "I said you were dazzling, Your Highness," Jake answered. His voice shook a little, but he kept it steady. "I apologize if I offended you." "Dazzling." She repeated the word slowly, as if tasting it. "I do not know this word. It means bright, beautiful, like something that takes your breath away." The princess was quiet for a moment. Then she turned to one of her advisors, a tall Celestin in blue robes. "Seum," she said. "I wish to speak with this human, privately." The advisor's face went pale. "Your Highness, that is not possible. The protocols." "I do not care about the protocols," she said calmly. "I will speak with him. Arrange it." Then she turned and walked away, rejoining her group as they continued into the hall. But just before she turned the corner, she looked back at Jake one more time. And she smiled again. The moment she was gone, chaos erupted. Patricia Lane rushed over, her face red with anger. Amy was asking questions. Other diplomats were shouting. But Jake did not hear any of it. He could only think about those purple eyes and that small, perfect smile. Something had just changed. He did not know what. He did not know why. But he felt it deep in his bones. His life would never be the same. The next 3 hours were the longest of Jake's life. Guards had taken him to a small room. They were Celestin guards, tall and silent. They had not hurt him. They had not even spoken to him. They had just led him here and left him alone. The room was plain. White walls. 1 table. 2 chairs. No windows. Jake sat in one of the chairs and waited. He did not know if he was a guest or a prisoner. Ambassador Patricia Lane came in first. Her face was still red. She walked back and forth across the small room. She could not stay still. "Do you understand what you have done?" she asked. It was the 10th time she had asked this question. "You looked directly at Princess Lyrian. You spoke about her without permission. Do you have any idea how serious this is?" "I've said I'm sorry," Jake replied. "It was an accident. I didn't know she could hear me. That's not the point." Patricia stopped walking and stared at him. "The Celestins haven't talked to anyone in 200 years. We finally get a meeting with them, and you ruin it in the first 5 minutes. Amy came into the room. She had been trying to find information. She was still looking at her small computer screen. "I've been reading everything I can find," she said. "But there's not much. The Celestins are very private. We don't really know their customs. Then how do we know I did something wrong? Jake asked. Patricia laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. Because every Celestin in that room looked like you had just slapped their princess in the face. That's how we know. The door opened again. A Celestin entered. He was tall, like all of them, with skin that shifted between blue and silver. He wore robes of deep blue. Something about his face looked wise, old, careful. "I am Minister Sealm," he said. His voice was calm and musical. "I work in the Royal Protocol Office. I have been sent to explain things." Patricia stepped forward quickly. "Minister, please accept our deepest apologies. Commander Morrison did not mean to cause any offense." He simply, "There has been no offense," Sealm said. Everyone went silent. "I'm sorry?" Patricia's mouth hung open. "No offense? But I thought, you thought wrong." The minister's face showed no emotion. What happened in the hall was unexpected, but it was not offensive. In fact, it was quite remarkable. Jake sat up straighter. "What do you mean?" Sealm walked deeper into the room. He moved slowly, like he had all the time in the world. "Tell me, Commander, when you spoke those words about the princess, did you know she could hear you?" "No," Jake admitted. I saw her, and I couldn't help it. The words came out before I could stop them." "Celestin hearing is much better than human hearing," Sealm explained. "Princess Lurian heard every word you said. But that is not what interested her. Then what was it?" Amy asked. The minister was quiet for a moment. He seemed to be thinking about how much to tell them. "Among my people," he said finally, "there is something we call recognition. It happens when two minds connect. When they see each other, truly see each other, for the first time. It is a deep thing, a sacred thing. It happens rarely, perhaps once in a generation." Jake felt confused. "And you're saying that happened between me and the princess?" "I am saying that something happened," Sealm replied carefully. "Something that has never happened before in our history. Recognition has always occurred between Celestins. Never between a Celestin and an outsider. Until today." The room was very quiet. Jake could hear his own heart beating. What does this mean? Patricia asked slowly. "What happens now?" "Now," Sealm said, "the princess wants to meet with Commander Morrison, alone." Patricia looked like she might faint. "Alone? That's impossible. Your princess never meets with outsiders. Our records show she has never even spoken directly to a non-Celestin before today." "Your records are correct," the minister agreed. "Which is why this is so unusual, so important." He looked at Jake with those strange color-changing eyes. "The choice is yours, Commander. You can refuse. No one will force you. But I would ask you to think carefully. What is happening here is unlike anything in our history. It could change everything between our peoples." Jake looked at Patricia. She was torn between fear and hope. He looked at Amy. She just shrugged, as if to say, "This is your choice." "I'll do it," Jake said. "I'll meet with her." Sealm nodded slowly. "Good. Come with me." They left the small room and walked through corridors that Jake did not recognize. The station had changed. The walls glowed with soft light. The air smelled sweet, like flowers and electricity mixed together. It was Celestin technology. They had transformed this part of the station into something that felt like their home. Two Celestin guards walked with them. They took Jake's weapon. They took his communication device. They even took a small emergency beacon that was hidden in his collar. He was completely alone now, cut off from all human contact. He should have been scared. He should have been worried. Instead, he felt strangely calm, like something inside him knew this was right. They stopped at a door. It was not like any door Jake had seen before. It seemed to be made of frozen light. Solid but not solid. Real but not real. Selim touched the door gently. It broke apart into tiny pieces of light that floated away like fireflies. Behind it was something Jake did not expect. A garden. Jake stepped through the doorway and found himself surrounded by plants. But these were not normal plants. Flowers sang softly as he walked by. Trees had leaves made of crystal that caught the light and broke it into rainbows. Vines moved on their own, reaching toward him like curious fingers before pulling back. Above him, the ceiling had been changed. It now showed deep space. Stars burning bright. Galaxies spinning slowly. It was like standing in the middle of the universe, and there, in the center of the garden, stood Princess Lyrian. She had changed her clothes. Instead of the grand dress from before, she wore something simpler. A gown of pale blue that made her look less like royalty and more like a person. More real, more reachable. "Commander Morrison," she said. Her voice made Jake's heart beat faster. "Thank you for coming." Jake remembered the rules. Don't look at her eyes. But he found he could not follow them. Not when she was looking right at him. "Your Highness," he managed to say. "I should apologize for earlier. I didn't mean to cause trouble." "You didn't cause trouble," she said. "You caused something much more interesting." She pointed to a bench nearby. It looked like it had grown from the ground rather than been built. "Please sit. We have much to talk about." Jake sat down. He was very aware of how close she was when she sat across from him. Even from 3 feet away, he could feel something coming from her. Not heat exactly. More like energy. Like standing near a power source. "I have questions," she said. "Many questions. About you. About your people. About why I feel what I feel when I look at you." Jake swallowed hard. "What do you feel?" She was quiet for a moment. Her purple eyes studied his face like she was reading a book. "I feel like I've been asleep my whole life," she said softly. "And now suddenly I'm awake." Jake did not know what to say. He did not know what any of this meant. But sitting there, in that impossible garden, looking into those endless eyes, he knew one thing for certain. Something had started between them. Something powerful. Something that would change both their worlds. And there was no going back. Princess Lyrian was unlike anyone Jake had ever met. She was curious about everything. She asked questions like a child seeing the world for the first time. "Tell me about your home," she said. They were sitting in her garden, surrounded by singing flowers and crystal trees. "Tell me about Earth." Jake thought for a moment. "How do you describe a whole planet?" "Earth is blue and green," he began. "It has huge oceans that cover most of its surface. We have forests with trees so tall you can't see the tops. We have deserts so hot that nothing can live there. We have mountains covered in snow that never melts." Lyrian listened with wide eyes. "It sounds beautiful." "It is. It's also dangerous. We have storms that destroy whole cities. We have creatures that can kill you with one bite. We have earthquakes that make the ground shake like water. And yet your people survived," she said. "You grew and spread across your world and then into the stars." "We're good at surviving," Jake admitted. "Maybe too good. We've almost destroyed ourselves many times. Wars, disease. We've come close to ending everything more than once." "But you didn't end," Lyrian said. "Why?" Jake shrugged. "I don't know. Maybe because we're stubborn. Maybe because we always find something worth fighting for. Even when things are bad, there's always someone who refuses to give up." The princess was quiet for a long time. She seemed to be thinking about his words. "My people have not faced challenges in a very long time," she finally said. "We solved our problems thousands of years ago. We have no disease, no hunger, No war. Our lives are peaceful and perfect. That sounds nice, Jake said. Does it? She looked at him with those deep purple eyes. I used to think so. But now I wonder. When you remove all struggle, what is left? When you have nothing to fight for, what gives life meaning? Jake did not have an answer. He had never thought about it that way. Tell me about love, Lyrian said suddenly. Among your people. How does it work? The question surprised him. Love is complicated. Everything with humans seems complicated, she said with a small smile. Tell me anyway. Jake took a deep breath. When humans love someone, it's not a choice. It just happens. You see someone, and something inside you clicks. Your heart beats faster. You think about them all the time. You want to be near them. You want to know everything about them. But how do you know? She asked. How do you know when it's real? You feel it, Jake said simply. In your chest. In your bones. It's like a fire that warms you from the inside. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it makes you do stupid things. But when it's real, you just know. Lyrian was staring at him. Her eyes were soft, thoughtful. Among my people, bonds are arranged, she said. Before we are born, our genetics are studied. Partners are chosen based on calculations. Emotion plays no role. That sounds cold, Jake said. It is efficient, she replied. It produces healthy children. Strong children. It has worked for thousands of years. She paused. But I have always wondered, what would it feel like to choose? To feel that fire you describe? Jake's heart was beating fast. He felt like they were walking towards something dangerous. Something he should stop. But he could not make himself turn away. Why did you want to meet with me? He asked. Really? Lyrian stood up and walked to a nearby fountain. The water in it flowed upward instead of down. She watched it for a moment before answering. When I entered that hall today, I felt many minds, she said. My people are sensitive. We can feel the thoughts of others. Not their exact words, but their feelings. Their intentions. You can read minds? Jake asked, alarmed. Not exactly. It's more like feeling the shape of someone's thoughts. Most people think in layers. They have surface thoughts that hide deeper thoughts. They say one thing but mean another. And me? She turned to face him. You were different. When you saw me, when you spoke those words, there were no layers. No hiding. You felt something, and you expressed it purely, honestly, without any attempt to use it or gain from it. Jake felt his face grow warm. I didn't think anyone could hear me. I know. That is what made it special. She walked closer to him. Do you know how rare that is, Commander? To find a mind that simply feels what it feels? My whole life, I've been surrounded by people who want things from me. Power, favor, position. Even their compliments are weapons designed to gain advantage. Not everyone is like that, Jake said. In my world, almost everyone is like that. She was standing very close now. He could see flecks of silver in her purple eyes. But not you. Your mind is like clear water. I can see straight to the bottom. Jake did not know what to say. No one had ever described him that way before. He had always thought of himself as ordinary, just a soldier doing his job. I'm not special, he said quietly. You are wrong, Lyrian replied. You are perhaps the most special person I have ever met. And I have met many people in my long life. How old are you? Jake asked. The question came out before he could stop it. She smiled. By your years? I am 342. Jake's mouth fell open. 300. My people live for a very long time, she explained. Our bodies do not age the way yours do. I will likely live for another 1,000 years at least. Jake felt strange. He was 38 years old. If he was lucky, he might live another 50 or 60 years. To her, he would be like a candle that burned for just a moment. "Does that bother you?" he asked. "Does what bother me?" "That I'm so temporary. Compared to you, my life is nothing. A blink of an eye." Lyrian was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft. "When I was young, I was taught that short-lived species were less important. That your quick lives meant shallow thoughts and shallow feelings. That you could not understand the deep things because you did not have time to learn them. And now? Now, I think I was taught wrong." She reached out her hand toward him, then stopped herself. "In one day, you have made me feel more than I have felt in 300 years. Your life may be short, but it burns so bright. Maybe that is why humans feel things so strongly. You know your time is limited, so you pack as much living into each moment as you can." Jake felt tears prick at his eyes. He did not know why. He had never been a man who cried easily. "This is insane," he said. "We met a few hours ago. We're from different species, different worlds. There's no way this makes sense." "Love doesn't have to make sense," Lyrian said. She was using his own words. "It just happens. You feel it in your chest, in your bones." Jake looked at her. She was the most beautiful creature he had ever seen. And she was looking at him like he was the answer to a question she had been asking her whole long life. "What happens now?" he asked. "I don't know," she admitted. "But I want to find out. Will you help me?" Jake knew he should be careful. He knew there were politics and protocols and dangers he could not even imagine. He knew that falling for an alien princess was probably the stupidest thing he could do. But when he looked into those purple eyes, none of that mattered. "Yes," he said. "I'll help you." And in that moment, in that strange garden filled with impossible wonders, Jake Morrison, a simple human soldier, changed the course of 2 civilizations. He just didn't know it yet. The days that followed were like a dream. Jake spent every available moment with Princess Lyrian. They walked through her garden. They talked for hours about everything and nothing. She wanted to know about human life, and Jake was happy to teach her. He told her about human food, how pizza was made with cheese and tomato and whatever toppings you wanted, how coffee could wake you up in the morning, how chocolate could make a bad day feel better. "You eat for pleasure?" Lyrian asked, amazed. "Not just for nutrition. Food is one of life's greatest joys," Jake said. "When humans are happy, we eat together. When we're sad, we eat together. When we celebrate, we eat together. Sharing food is how we show love." He told her about human music. He played songs on his small personal device. Blues and jazz and rock and classical. She listened with her eyes closed, her face showing emotions he could not name. "This sound," she said, listening to a sad blues song. "It makes me feel pain. But I don't want it to stop. Why?" "That's what good music does," Jake explained. "It makes you feel things. Even painful things. Sometimes we need to feel our pain to understand it." He told her about human families. How parents loved their children without condition. How friends became as close as blood. How strangers could become family through shared experience. "We don't have close family bonds," Lyrian admitted. "Our children are raised by the community. We believe personal attachment creates weakness." "Maybe it does," Jake said. "But it also creates strength. When you love someone, you fight harder for them. You become braver than you ever thought you could be." With each conversation, Lyrian changed. Jake could see it happening. The cold, distant princess he had first met was melting away. In her place was someone warmer, more curious, more alive. But their time together did not go unnoticed. On the 5th day, Amy came to Jake with a warning. People are talking, she said. They were in Jake's small room on the human side of the station. The Celestin delegation is angry. They think you've done something to their princess. Done something? Like what? They think you've bewitched her. Put some kind of human spell on her mind. Amy shook her head. I know it sounds crazy, but they really believe it. They've been sending complaints to Ambassador Lane every day. Jake felt a cold knot form in his stomach. What does the ambassador say? She's trying to calm things down, but it's not working. The Celestines want you removed from the station. They want Lyrian to go back to her home planet. And what does Lyrian want? Amy looked at him with sad eyes. I think we both know the answer to that. That evening, Jake went to the garden to meet Lyrian as usual. But something was different. She was not smiling. Her glow was dimmer than before. My people are demanding that I leave, she said without greeting. They say I've spent too much time with you. They say I am forgetting who I am. Are you? Jake asked. No? She looked at him with fierce eyes. I am finally remembering who I am. For the first time in my life, I feel truly alive. But they cannot understand that. What will happen if you refuse to leave? Then they will make me leave, she said quietly. Or worse. The High Council has the power to strip me of my title. They could exile me from Celestin space forever. Jake felt his heart break. He had known from the start that this could not last. She was a princess. He was just a soldier. Their worlds were too different. But hearing the words made it real. Maybe you should go, he said. The words hurt to speak. Maybe this was a mistake. I don't want you to lose everything because of me. Lyrian moved closer to him. So close he could feel the energy coming from her skin. You are not a mistake, she said firmly. Meeting you is the best thing that has ever happened to me. You have shown me that there is more to life than duty and protocol. You have shown me what it means to feel. But your people, my people are afraid, she interrupted. They have been afraid for 200 years. That is why they closed themselves off from the universe. They saw the chaos of other species, and it frightened them. They thought isolation would protect them. Maybe they were right, Jake said. Maybe we are chaos. Humans have done terrible things throughout our history. You have also done wonderful things, Lyrian replied. You have loved fiercely, created beautiful art, built great things and rebuilt them when they fell. You have failed and learned and grown. That is not chaos. That is life. She reached out and took his hand. Her skin was cool and smooth against his. A tingling sensation ran up his arm and into his chest. It was like touching lightning. The Celestins in the garden gasped. Jake had not even noticed them watching. Taking someone's hand was nothing to humans. But to Celestins, it was everything. You touched me, Jake whispered. I did, Lyrian said. She did not let go. Among my people, touch is sacred. It is either a declaration of war or a declaration of love. Which do you think this is? Jake looked into her eyes. Those deep purple eyes that held galaxies within them. He saw no doubt there. No fear. Only certainty. I think I know, he said softly. Then you understand what I am saying, she replied. I am choosing you, Jake Morrison. I am choosing what I feel over what I was taught. I am choosing life over emptiness. Your people will never accept this. Perhaps not. She smiled sadly. But maybe they can be shown a different way. Maybe they need to see that connection with others does not make us weak. It makes us strong. How do we show them that? We go to them, Lyrian said. We go to my home world. We stand before the High Council. And we prove that humans are not lesser beings. We prove that love between our kinds is not corruption. It is evolution. Jake felt fear grip his heart. They could kill me. They could, she agreed. Are you afraid? Jake thought about it. Yes, he was afraid. He was terrified. But when he looked at her, standing there with her hand in his, glowing with an inner light that seemed to grow brighter every moment, he knew his answer. I've faced worse odds, he said. And I've never had anything this important to fight for. Lyrian's smile returned. It was like watching the sunrise. Then we go together, she said. We face my people together. And whatever happens, we face it as one. Jake squeezed her hand gently. He did not know what the future held. He did not know if they would survive what was coming. But in that moment, holding her hand in that impossible garden, he knew one thing for certain. Some things were worth risking everything for Dot, and she was one of them. The journey to Aurelia Prime took 3 days. Jake spent most of that time preparing. Lyrian taught him about her world, her people, and what to expect from the High Council. They will try to frighten you, she warned. They will use their powers to look into your mind. They will search for weakness, for lies, for anything they can use against you. And when they find nothing, they will be confused, she said with a small smile. My people are not used to being confused. The ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel, and Jake got his first look at Aurelia Prime. It was the most beautiful planet he had ever seen. Golden spires rose from cities that seemed to float on clouds. Gardens stretched across entire continents, looming with colors Jake had no names for. The sky itself seemed to sing with light. It's amazing, he breathed. It is home, Lyrian said simply, but there was something sad in her voice. Or it was. They landed at the capital city. Guards escorted them to the council chamber. Jake noticed that the guards walked closer to Lyrian than necessary. They were protecting her, but they were also watching her, making sure she did not run. The council chamber was a vast circular room. The walls seemed to be made of solid music, humming with sounds that Jake could feel in his bones. 12 high counselors sat on raised platforms, looking down at the floor where Jake and Lyrian stood. The head counselor was an ancient, Celestin with silver skin and eyes like cold stars. She rose from her seat and spoke with a voice that echoed through the chamber. Princess Lyrian of the Third House, you stand accused of cultural contamination. You have formed an improper bond with an outsider. You have spoken against traditions that have stood for thousands of years. How do you answer? Lyrian lifted her chin. She showed no fear. I answer that your accusations come from fear, not truth, and that the greatest threat to our civilization is not change, but the refusal to change. Whispers rippled through the chamber. Several counselors exchanged worried looks. I have spent time among the humans, Lyrian continued. I have looked into their minds and their hearts. What I found was not chaos or corruption. I found creativity. I found strength. I found a people who have faced every challenge the universe has thrown at them and come out stronger. She pointed to Jake. This man is not a conqueror. He's not a deceiver. He is a bridge between our peoples. His species has wisdom to share. Perspectives we have never considered. Solutions to problems we did not know we had. Another counselor spoke. His voice was sharp and cold. What of the touching? You took his hand willingly. You felt the recognition. Such things are not done with outsiders. Such things have never been done with outsiders, Lyrian agreed. That does not mean they cannot be done, or that they should not be done. She stepped forward. Her light blazed brighter than Jake had ever seen it. I am not asking you to abandon our traditions. I am asking you to let them grow, to let them evolve, to let them include rather than exclude. The head counselor descended from her platform. She moved slowly until she stood directly in front of Jake. Her cold eyes studied him like he was an insect under glass. Human, she said. What do you have to say? Jake had prepared many speeches during the journey. He had practiced arguments about cooperation and mutual benefit, about how isolated civilizations wither and die while open ones thrive. But standing here, under the gaze of beings who were ancient when humans were still living in caves, all those prepared words seemed empty. So he spoke from his heart instead. "I love her," Jake said simply. "I don't know when it happened or how it happened, but I do." And I know that probably sounds crazy to you. A human claiming to love a Celestin after only a few weeks. But that's what humans are like. We feel things quickly and deeply, and without caring if those feelings make sense. He took a breath. Your people have spent 200 years afraid of us, afraid of what we represent. But here's the truth about fear. It doesn't protect you. It just delays the thing you're afraid of. The universe is changing. New species are rising. Old powers are falling. The only civilizations that will survive are the ones that can adapt. He looked at Lyrian. She looked back at him. In that moment, nothing else mattered. You can exile your princes, Jake continued. You can keep pretending the rest of the universe doesn't exist. Or you can listen to her. Learn from her. Let her show you that maybe the chaos you've been running from is actually the key to your survival. Silence filled the chamber. The head counselor studied Jake for a very long time. Her face showed no emotion. Jake could not tell if she was angry or impressed or something else entirely. Then she turned to the other counselors. Something passed between them. Some kind of silent communication that Jake could not perceive. A decision was being made. When she turned back, there was something new in her eyes. Not warmth exactly, but perhaps the absence of hatred. The human speaks with conviction, she said slowly. His mind is unusual. There are no layers, no hidden thoughts. He means exactly what he says. Is that good? Jake asked. It is unexpected, the head counselor replied. In my long life, I've met very few beings with such simple honesty. Most minds are full of shadows and secrets. Yours is like clear glass. She looked at Lyrian. This is what you saw in him. This is why you risked everything. Yes, Lyrian said. And there is more. His people are all like this. Quick to feel. Quick to act. Quick to love. They may be chaotic, but they are also brave and kind and full of a passion for life that we have lost. The head counselor was quiet for another long moment. The council will deliberate, she finally announced. Princess Lyrian and the human will remain as our guests until a decision is reached. It was not acceptance, but it was not rejection either. As guards escorted them from the chamber, Jake felt Lyrian take his hand again. Her skin still tingled against his, but now the sensation felt familiar. Like coming home. What do you think they will decide? He asked quietly. I don't know, she admitted. But for the first time in my life, I am not afraid. Whatever happens, we face it together. They were taken to a beautiful room with windows that looked out over the golden city. They sat together on a balcony, watching the alien sun set over a world of wonders. You know, Jake said, even if they accept us, this won't be easy. Your people and mine are very different. There will be misunderstandings, conflicts, problems we can't even imagine yet. I know, Lyrian said. And even if everything goes perfectly, I'll only live another 50 or 60 years. You'll still be young when I'm gone. I know that too. She turned to look at him. Her eyes were soft and warm. But I would rather have 50 years of truly living than 1,000 years of merely existing. Jake smiled. That might be the most human thing you've ever said. Perhaps you're rubbing off on me. Perhaps you're rubbing off on me too. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars come out one by one. Somewhere in the city, the High Council was deciding their fate. Tomorrow might bring exile or acceptance, war, or peace. But tonight, they were together. A human soldier and an alien princess, hand in hand, watching the universe spin around them. And in that moment, Jake understood something important. Humans had always reached for the stars. They had always pushed beyond what was known into what was possible. They had always believed that tomorrow could be better than today. That was humanity's true strength. Not their technology or their weapons or their numbers, but their endless, stubborn hope. And now, for the first time, they had shown that hope to another species. They had proven that connection was possible across any gap. That love could bridge any distance. That even the oldest and most advanced civilizations could learn something from the brief, burning lives of human beings. Whatever the council decided, humanity had already won. They had reached out their hand across the stars, and someone had taken it. The end.